Hey everybody, it's Tim Melvin of Banking on Profits and the Community Bank Stock Investor coming to you from down here in beautiful Central Florida. Going to be another nice sunny, kind of on the warm side, no rain in the forecast kind of day. We're nearing the end of rainy season, but it is still rainy season. So it's kind of nice. We're going to get a week here with little to no rain. So anyway, we're a little day later than we usually are with this video. Wife went off to Chicago Friday, didn't get back until yesterday. And so the 14-year-old and I were kind of here on our own with the dog and the cat. And I don't know how it is at your house, but when the wife goes away around here, things kind of tend to get a little bit off the rails as far as the homework and housework and the dinner. We ate pretty much all of our meals out because I just didn't feel like cooking. And she doesn't like the same food that I like. So it was just easier to go out. And then on Saturday, here we're going to jump right into a little controversy to start today. We went to SeaWorld. Now, my daughter has already berated me for going to SeaWorld because apparently the whales are depressed or something along those lines. We went to the dolphin show. We went to the killer whale show. We saw all the animals that were being rehabbed and rescued. And, we rode a couple of little rides. It was just all in all a very cool day. And I will say that, it occurs to me that if it wasn't for SeaWorld and the whale shows, most folks wouldn't really care too much about killer whales. They're not as cute as dolphins, and they don't get as much attention. And you just don't see a killer whale swimming by too many days when you're at the beach. So I kind of think that you see both sides of the argument, but these whales are, they were born in captivity. They wouldn't last in the wild. They're going to stop the breeding program. They're kind of moving forward in a new direction. And frankly, they've done more for conservation of the ocean and the animals in the ocean than anybody since Jacques Cousteau. And it's a really enjoyable day at the park. So I'm sure I'll get all type of calls or complaints and all that sort of stuff. Maybe somebody will cancel their subscription and uh, punch themselves in the face to spite themselves or whatever. But I enjoyed the day. We toured some of the conservation areas. I've had talks with folks that work there, and they really do a lot on the conservation and rescue front. And I got to tell you, we paid $99, which is I think $10 more than regular admission, maybe even $20 more than regular admission, but actually less than Disney or Universal for the day. Now that ticket, that $99, is good, unlimited from now until the end of 2018. That's the best theme park deal in Orlando. We got there early, left a little bit after lunchtime, no lines, no waiting, walked on every ride. The crowds were coming in as we were leaving. It's a great day. So unless you have very strong beliefs about the killer whale show, which I thought the killer whale show was fantastic, check out SeaWorld in Orlando or out in San Diego. It's a great day at the park, believe me. As long as we're doing controversy, we might as well tackle the subject of the National Football League and the protests that we saw this week. And it's very interesting. Now these players, I gave up on football about a year ago, at least, professional football. Had nothing to do with the politics or Colin Kaepernick taking a knee. This is America. They have a right to take the knee, to protest in any way. It's not overly offensive. I think they probably should have listened to the fans when the fans were saying, hey, in our eyes, you're disrespecting the military. But be that as it may, I'm not going to get too deep into that. We all know that there are still social and civil problems in this country, and it is their right to protest it. And what they have to understand is anybody, entertainers doing this on award shows or athletes at professional games, you're on your employer's dime at that point. So if enough fans kick back and we start to see revenue declines and merchandise sales declines and ticket declines, owners are probably going to reverse their position and say, hey, you made your point, no more. My Facebook timeline had a lot of videos of folks, longtime sports fans, people that I know to be hardcore football fans, burning their jerseys and other related gear, something I never thought I'd say. Now, let me say this about that. A lot of people are threatening to sell their season tickets and get rid of their personal seat licenses, which trade $5,000-$10,000 depending on the team in the stadium. You folks are about to get a powerful lesson in economics and supply and demand, because if all of you go rushing to sell your season tickets and to sell your PSLs, the price of these things is going to drop through the floor. It's why the NFL went with the PSL strategy when they were selling season ticket packages anyway, because it makes it almost impossible for you to dump your tickets or for a bunch of fans to dump their tickets if the team goes into an extended slide. Economic supply and demand is going to rule the day. The prices of those things may actually drop quite a bit. Now, my final comment on the NFL, and again, I kind of stopped watching it, and it's just because the game, it turned into a flag festival. It just was not fun to watch anymore. I would much rather watch a Navy football game or an Army football game or, Irish Catholic kid, a Notre Dame football game on a Saturday afternoon while I'm in my office doing a little bit of work than spend a significant portion of my Sunday on the NFL the way I used to. But now, my final comment, folks. Professional sports is entertainment. That's all it is. It's something we do to escape from, the realities of the world around us. We don't want to see the protests, at least many of us don't, when we go for entertainment. But consider this for a moment. It's entertainment, same as if I turn on the TV or I watch a movie. Now, every sporting event I go to, they play the national anthem. Everybody stands up. We put our hands over our heart. We respect the flags, the sacrifice and service of our veterans, our first responders, and what our nation means to us, as we should when the national anthem is played. But I will point out to you that when I go to other sources of entertainment, when I go to the movie theater to see the new Star Wars in December, they are not going to play the national anthem first and insist that I stand up and respect our nation's traditions before I get to watch Star Wars. Same with the Big Bang Theory. I watched the season premiere last night. They did not play the national anthem before the Big Bang Theory. I get that it's a tradition, maybe a tradition we want to reconsider in light of the ongoing civil and social strife in our country. Professional sports is entertainment. Not sure we need to play the national anthem before every sporting match in the country. Okay, now that I have guaranteed that I get a ton of emails today, let's move along to our core subject. Most of you should have received from me in the last week or so a copy of the FJ Capital new white paper on bank merger and acquisition activity going forward. And just to reiterate and hit the key points, we started back in the 1980s with around 18,000 banks, way too many. Once the interstate banking regulations were reduced and a bank in Florida could buy one in Georgia, who could buy one in North Carolina, consolidation began. And it's been going on pretty strong, couple hundred banks a year since that point in time. It accelerated a bit after the S&L crisis in the 1990s. And after originally being slow in the aftermath of the credit crisis, it started to accelerate again, starting in about late 2011, 2012, right through 2017. We've had a pretty aggressive pace of acquisition. Now, according to the white paper, and I'm in 100% agreement, we're going to continue to see consolidation. We still have way too many banks in this country. And I think we're going to go, they're saying 3,000, from 6,000 to 3,000. I think the number may actually be 2,000. And the way we're going to get there is not through bank failures, but through bank consolidation. That keeps intact for I called this the trade of the decade when we started doing it. And that sounds great, but the reality is this is probably the trade of a few decades. This is not done yet. It's going to go on for probably another 15 to 20 years of continual bank consolidation. And that's going to mean a lot of profit opportunities for us as small bank stock investors. All the same reasons that the trend's going to continue. Tired banking syndrome is like number one on the list. And we've told this story a lot of times, but bankers through most of the career, it was a great job. They were well-respected individuals in town. They were helping people grow and buy homes and grow businesses and send their kids to college and fund their retirements. And then came the credit crisis. Now you weren't doing so much good in the community. You were foreclosing on people you played Pee Wee baseball with. You were denying business loans to guys you'd known all your life. It just wasn't much fun. And then on top of it, you used to see the regulators a couple times a year. You were seeing them every day before you had breakfast in the years following the credit crisis. And that's really just gotten worse. And, there's been talk of regulatory reform and rollback, but it's pretty much kind of stalled along with a lot of the Trump agenda at this point as they continue to throw, not quite sure what they're doing with these healthcare bills. I've read all the attempted ones. They're heavily flawed. They needed to have sat down and spent a lot of time on it. Instead, they seem to just be trying to pass something. That's taken a lot of attention away from things that need to get done, like regulatory reform and tax reform. So bankers, it's been exhausting. And you had your stock, you own a lot of it, your friends own a lot of it. You put the offering out there at 10, it went to 4. Now you're back up to 9, and you're kind of thinking, if I could get to 12, $15 a share, I'm going to take that price. And we're kind of getting there because we've seen the bank stocks recover in the last few years. We know that because we've made a lot of money as they've recovered. Not just M&A, but earnings and dividend growth and revenue growth has also driven this price of our small bank holdings dramatically higher over the past few years. So what we've got, the regional larger community banks, their stock has gone up a lot more than the smaller banks, which gives them an excellent currency to buy the smaller banks, expand their footprint, gain additional scale, and most importantly of all, grow their bottom line earnings. Because if they're a public bank, that's what their outside investors care about, especially as you get into the larger capitalization banks. We also are probably going to see some changes in the financially significant institution levels, bringing some of those $50 to $100 billion in assets banks back into the M&A game as time goes by. So there's lots of reasons for this to continue. It's going to continue, and buying small banks with sound loan portfolios at great prices is going to continue to be an attractive proposition for us for a very long time to come. Now, where are we at today? Same place we've been the last several weeks. We're staying the course. We have our tail hedge in place in case things go completely wrong. But I feel pretty good about it. We are seeing some signs. Remember, we had 3 takeovers last month. None so far this month, but we got a couple days left to go. And I think we'll see several more as we get into the fourth quarter of the year. And we're doing pretty well again this year after a fantastic year last year with our small bank stocks. So we're just going to stay the course, keep moving on, and just kind of see how it all continues to come together. I'd rather be doing exciting stuff, guys. I'd rather be out there buying banks with both hands. It's not time for that. None of our banks are egregiously overpriced, so it's not time to be an aggressive seller. This is the time that, like Charlie Munger, to sit on our rear ends and make money. I'm pretty good at that, and I'm trying to help all you guys get to be pretty good at that as well. So, biggest risk to the market, absolutely still geopolitical. North Korean rhetoric is getting ramped up. They said this morning that they had the right to shoot down U.S. airplanes, even if they weren't in their airspace, if they were just near their airspace, and that some of Donald Trump's rhetoric amounted to a declaration of war. The White House has, of course, repudiated and denied that we have, in fact, declared war. North Koreans apparently don't understand that only the U.S. Congress can declare war. But the rhetoric is really ramping up. The economic sanctions do not seem to be deterring North Korea, even though China's banks came out and said, hey, we're not doing business with North Korea anymore. That's a big problem for North Korea because China is really their only source of banking activity. So they do still have some allies in the world. They're unified by a hatred of all things Western, particularly the United States. But if China turns off the oil, that may finally be the thing that brings North Korea to the table with a more reasonable attitude. Maybe not, however. So leaders on both sides, way too much rhetoric, way too much chest bumping and finger pointing going on. Very dangerous situation, and the thing that could derail the market quicker than anything else going on in the world right now. The German elections, big surprise. Merkel was, she was reelected, but the far right picked up a lot of seats, and that's made a lot of people very nervous. It also threatens, if not entirely eliminates, the prospects of success for the Eurozone kind of reworking that Angela Merkel and Emmanuel Macron had been talking about, and kind of realigning the Eurozone interests. A little bit of right-wing swell in Germany kind of pushes those plans back a little bit. We'll see if we again get the nationalist kind of right-wing movement swinging back through Europe the way it did a couple of years ago. Let's hope not, because this is not real good for the European economy. Neither, however, is the Eurozone's plan to tax online firms like Google and Amazon based on revenues or asset and inventory turnover instead of bottom line profits, because Amazon, Google, they're doing a ton of business in Europe, and just like here at home, they're not paying a lot of income tax, and the Eurozone needs the money. This would be a huge mistake. If they pick a fight with these large digital companies, they're going to lose because these companies can back out without hurting themselves too badly. They can pull their shipments, lay off employees, get out of the zone with a lot less damage than it would do to the uh, weak recovery that is finally starting to show some signs of life in Europe. Extended weakness in Europe going to spill over to the U.S. and the other zones. So that's something I'm watching carefully because it does have some potential market moving implications going forward. The big unknown remains the Fed unwind that starts next month. Now, the Fed's not going to start selling bonds, but they are going to stop rolling over bonds that mature, and that does take a very big buyer out of several corners of the bond market. What's going to happen? I don't know. Neither does anybody else. All those people telling you that they know, well, they're either fools or liars, and both of those are to be avoided at all costs, as I've said several times in the past. We don't know. It could lead to higher rates and lower stock prices. The market could shrug it off like it has everything else. In the day and age we live in, somebody could decide that's a reason for stock prices to rally. God knows everything else has been a reason for that over the past 3 or 4 years. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. If it all does go south because of the Fed's reduction in its balance sheet, guess what? We've got about 20% cash. We've got our hedges in place. We're in pretty good shape if that happens. If it still keeps going higher, we got a whole bunch of small banks that we bought at great prices. So that'll be great for us as well. So kind of a win-win. Hopefully, we'll wait and see what happens. But the proper answer to any question about the Great Fed unwind is I don't know. Anybody that says anything else, just engaging in wild speculation. Okay, baseball. It's not mathematically over for the Orioles, but it's over for the Orioles. Compounding the problem of any chance that they had, Major League Baseball has scheduled interleague play for several teams, including the Orioles. We're going to be playing a 2-game set with the Pirates this week before playing another set with Tampa Bay. What were you guys thinking? Late September baseball, that's division baseball. That's teams going head-to-head for the division crown. That needs to be in your league, in your division baseball, just the way it has been in years past. I don't know why you thought interleague play in September was a great idea. Allow me, Major League Baseball, to disabuse you of that notion. Please do not do that again. No fan anywhere wants to see that in the last week of the baseball season with pennant and wild card titles potentially on the line. Now, my predictions this year, I got all 6 of the division winners. Didn't do very good on the wild card teams at all. I've only got one potential with the St. Louis Cardinals still left alive. My other 3 picks are dead and buried and have been for months now. So we'll see how the playoffs shape out. We've got the right 6 teams in there. We've got some fantastic storylines. Bryce Harper is coming back. He should be back in the game tonight or tomorrow, as I understand it. You've got the Houston Astros with this fantastic record, chance at home field advantage all the way through the playoffs still. On the heels of the massive flooding damage from Harvey and kind of a city that's taken a hard hit, and now they can rally behind their home team, Houston Astros, as we go into the playoffs. That's a great story. You've got, can the Dodgers out in Los Angeles, can they reestablish the dominance that they showed through midseason, winning game after game after game? And the team has slowed down a bit, but they're still going to be a 100-win baseball team, that's a pretty good baseball team. Now, speaking of dominance, the Cleveland Indians, these guys don't know how to lose a baseball game all of a sudden. They've got a record win streak. They lost a game. They've come back. They've continued winning. The team is on fire. The pitching is dominant. They have to be the choice in the American League right now. I knew they'd come back. I didn't think it would be this strong. In their way, of course, Boston, Houston, and potentially the all of a sudden red-hot New York Yankees with Aaron Judge breaking the all-time rookie home run record this week. So it's going to be very exciting October for us baseball fans. Great time to be a sports fan. you've got college basketball is going to be starting towards the end of the month. You've got the baseball playoffs. You've got college football season getting into big swing. And for those of you that still like the game, the NFL, the game starts to take on more significance each and every Sunday. I won't be watching, but some of you folks will. I hope you enjoy it. It's a great time to be a sports fan. My pick for this year has always been the Washington Nationals. Having said that, because of my nephew's allegiance to the Houston Astros, once the playoffs start, I will be a Houston Astros fan. I may even have to shelve my Baltimore Orioles shirt and come up with a Houston Astros shirt to wear when I shoot these little videos over the course of October. So now, in the book front, I started and finished the new Nelson DeMille, The Cuban Affair. Yeah, DeMille is consistently good. This is a good book, a great story with good characters, and I actually hope that he does with this character what he did with John Corey and make him the feature of a 4 or 5 book series. I think that would be fantastic because it was a really solid character. The new entry in the Elizabeth Salander series, even though the original author has passed, the new guy's done a fantastic job with it. Finished that. Again, great read. Really enjoyed it. If you're a fan of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, you will like the new addition to the series. Jack Higgins, going back and every time I think I've read everything Jack Higgins has ever wrote, I find 9 or 10 new characters. Working my way slowly through the Paul Shabazz novels. It's not Liam Devlin, but it's not far off, guys. A fantastic book. I don't know that Higgins has ever written a bad book, but I had no idea that he had written so many. So anyway, good book, worth the $6 or whatever it was to download it on Amazon Kindle. And that's kind of where we are for the week. We're staying the course. We're getting ready for playoff baseball. Not No reason for the market to go down unless something goes wrong with the Fed unwind or the geopolitical situation continues to get worse. Nothing new to buy at the moment. We're looking every day. I absolutely promise you. We're looking through the screens, digging into the smaller banks, talking to bankers, talking to analysts. We're looking for stuff to buy. But for now, if you've got new money or you're a new subscriber, stick to the buy list or those stocks, bonus and focus stocks that I have rated buy. Just sent the new issue of Community Bank Investor out this earlier this week, and that had all the buy rated focus stocks in the issue. Anyway, that's about it for me this week. Wife's going to be in town all week, so things should get back a little bit to normal once she's done yelling at me about the mess that she came home to last night. We'll get back to normal, and we should be able to have the video out in the usual Sunday, Monday time frame next week. Anyway, guys, I look forward to all the emails, especially those related to SeaWorld and the NFL. I absolutely know I'm going to get today, and I'll try to respond within my usual, couple of hour periods. You guys have a great week, and thanks for watching.